Hello, this is Bishop Stephen Scarlett with some thoughts on making a good confession. What is a confession? A confession is an assessment of where we are in our relationship with Christ that identifies wrong behaviors and wrong patterns of behavior that keep us from loving God and our neighbor as we ought. The best lens through which to make this assessment is through the lens of the seven deadly sins. This is the way the church has developed to categorize disordered behavior over the course of its history. The seven deadly sins are pride, envy, covetousness, anger, lust, gluttony, and sloth. There is a self-examination, a book called the St. Augustine's Prayer Book. Here's a printed copy of it that I believe is available online that can help one make this self-examination in a very exacting way under the rubric of the deadly sins. However, the purpose of self-examination and confession is not merely an increase in guilt and self-loathing. The proper analogy is relational. We are concerned not so much with just avoiding the punishment for our sins. Rather, we are concerned to grow into a closer relationship with God and other people. Sin is a barrier to relational union. For example, if I have a friend and he does something wrong to me, that wrong creates a relational distance between us, which can only be remedied by his acknowledging the wrong he has done, me offering the grace of forgiveness so we can be restored in our relationship. Confession, then, is a discipline by which we remove the barriers to union with God so we may grow into the people we become in baptism. It is the way that the people of God move from infancy to adolescence to maturity in the faith. We should note as we identify the various sins we may have committed that surface sins are frequently merely a symptom of deeper disorders in our lives. For example, if I find myself struggling with habitual anger, it is likely that that anger is a symptom of some deeper relational wound. There may be some past relational issue in my life that I have not yet faced. I have not yet acknowledged my full emotions in that situation. I've not yet processed those emotions to the point of being able to forgive the person who wronged me. And as long as this past issue remains there, I'm likely to continue to deal with that surface manifestation of anger. Unless we make a confession, we must not only ask, what have I done wrong? What am I doing? What are my sins? But why am I doing this? What is the deeper motivation that fuels the disorder of my life? Confession should lead to behavioral change. If I confess that I have harmed someone with my behavior, the result of confession and the grace of forgiveness should be that I do something good for that person. Behavior motivated by malice and hatred should be replaced with behavior motivated by love. However, we should be aware that the central disorder of our lives is a lack of prayerfulness. We sin because of our distance from God. When we are distant from God and from other people, we experience an interior emptiness that manifests itself in disordered behavior. Conversely, when we experience a close union with God in our lives of prayer, and we are in close relationships with other people that reflect a genuine intimacy and authenticity, we experience a fullness, and that experience, that interior experience of love from God and others, results in outward behaviors that reflect that love. Thus, our confession shouldn't be just a micromanaging of the surface behaviors of sin in our lives and replacing them with other surface behaviors. Rather, the removal of the barriers that cause distance from God through confession should result in a closer experience of union with God in our prayer, a closer experience of union with God and other people also, because relationships are restored through confession. And the result of that union with God and others is holy behavior. We outwardly reflect in our behavior our inward experience of love, or in a nutshell, we commit less sin.